Hey guys, what's going on? It's TheBlackHylian, aka the Mango Sentinel, my old name, of course. And right now we're playing Pocket Tournament, teaching you about Lucario. There's not too much to learn about the character. I mean, he is your staple character. So, for anyone who's new to the game, Lucario is more of a rushdown based fighter, has a bit more zoning and what I'm going to pretty much go down with today is how to generally play the game, how to, just a little rundown how to, so to speak. So currently, the mode that we sit right now is Field Phase. Giving you a complete rundown of the controls. You have your range attacks, which is the two sides, your back range attack, and your forward range attack. For your weak string, it's your homing. So, don't worry. I completely forget that you can't really switch out of two phase on this controller. Maybe I could. Maybe I would. Nope, I forgot. Not on this controller. So actually choose it. Take purpose first, just to get it out of there. And none. Okay. So I'm not gonna force Duel Phase here. I showed you the homing string, I showed you that. What next to show you is the Pokemon move. Your Pokemon move, neutrally, is Aura Sphere. Good zoning tool. Perfectly good zoning tool. Now, your side, you don't have a side move. You only have, Pokemon moves are different. You only have forward, back, and neutral. So, forward is Bone Rush. A good approaching tool. And, as you can see, depending on how you use it, safe on block. If you're super close, mind you, it can be beaten up by weak strings, so be careful. Your next one that you just saw was Force Palm. Now can officially be used in Duel Phase. Back. I will explain that afterwards, you'll see it. But I'm not here to explain Duel Phase, I'm here to explain Field Phase, generally how it works. So, for Field Phase, for what you'd want to do is your general playstyle of how Field Phase would be going down is that if you're facing a rush down, you keep them out as much as possible. You don't have to let them get in. They don't have a way of getting in against you. Even though you're a rush down fighter yourself, they don't have a way of getting in. So, let that be known. Well, they will have one, but it's not going to be as good as yours. You can Aura Sphere to keep them out, be it light or heavy. I'm just showing the example. You can use the air variant, which, no matter what, is always going to be homing. And you can use your ranged attacks if you want to force Duel Phase. There are many ways to avoid them to make sure that you can't get out. So, what I'm going to be explaining in a moment, which is separate from this part, is Duel Phase. Alright, so now we're in Duel Phase. Duel Phase is technically where all the real nitty-gritty fighting comes in. Hence the term duel. It kind of moves more like your 2D fighter in this form. And contrary to a lot of things, you don't stay in here too long. However, if you're Lucario, you're going to want to keep them in here for as long as possible. If, say, their style is more rush down one-on-one. So if you are fighting Pikachu and say, hey, maybe, you know, I can get into here, then you're gonna want to take the advantage as much as possible, because Pikachu has really strong range attacks, so you would want to force Duel Phase as much as possible. But the real people you want to force them on are zoners. Zoners don't technically have a way of getting into Duel Phase per se. Like against a rushdown fighter like Lucario, you don't technically have a way of getting in, and that's generally what you'd want to do. You'd want to put them in this phase. You'd want to make sure that they can fight you, more or less. Like, it's forcing them to fight rather than to run away. So this is more the phase that you want to be in half the time. I'll go down the detail with supports a bit later in the video. So, getting right to it, like I was mentioning before, you have two different kinds of attack settings for this. Now, the jump setting is always going to be the same. It's always going to be your main go-to button. You have your weak attack. Your range attack now becomes your weak attack in this sense. So, and likewise, you have different strings. You have your forward XX, which is that. You have back. Oh, sorry, you have crouching, which will combo into Bone Rush, actually. You wouldn't see it unless it connects. So you have rising, up and weak attack, which is a little pop, which is a little blast, which is a good anti-air. Then you have your jumping weak. I will explain the practicality for that in a moment. And obviously, your strong attack now becomes your launcher. With up and strong, you have a knockdown. This is a really good counter tool. It forces counter on people who are trying to grab, or say they're doing something, and it forces a good counter. And then obviously you have your counter attack, which is available in both Duel Phase and Field Phase. I didn't mention this before because it would be more useful here rather than in Field Phase. And the thing about counterattacks, which is what somebody else had told me, my boy Shinon, he mentioned that having your counter after getting hit, you can move back or forth just to, you know, move out of the hit, or you can let them take the hit, or you can take the hit yourself and then after force a knockdown, which, well, it wouldn't force a knockdown. Actually it does. I take it back. So if you did counter, you can go right to Bone Rush and it would force phase shift. Also, I would like to explain that homing attack in Field Phase will literally force phase shift as well. So always keep this in mind, that in Field Phase, a lot of your moves will force phase shift. And it's the same for like almost anybody in the cast. Also, coming back to strong attacks, you have down X, which is a sweep. Nothing special to it, really. Your Pokemon move still remains the same. However, your air Pokemon, it's no longer homing. Instead, it's a 5-way blast, and it covers jumps. Like if you're far away, it covers all jumps. It covers ground. It covers the air. So, it's a good tool to use if they're in mid-range to long range. If you don't want them coming in, of course. So that's the thing you want to use against certain characters that can't get in on you really hard, like Machamp, or even, let's say, Gengar. maybe Gengar. I'm not entirely too sure on Gengar's half. But what else is there to explain? I guess I can go over certain, like, yeah. Moving on to combos. There are certain combos that will be taught to you in the combo dojo. For example, you get taught launcher into, I forgot what it was. What's the counter into this? I keep forgetting how it works. But I could show you homing as well. Homing horses, they should. Yeah. But it doesn't work on the, like, it also doesn't have to work on the wall, but there is that. Let's go back to Duel Phase. Neutral standing. You have launcher into Bone Rush. And of course, launcher on Bone Rush can be followed up again with another one. So it's a bit more difficult for me because it's one of the ones I feel like, there it is. And you obviously have your weak attacks always have a weak string. Try and mix it up a bit, of course. One thing about Lucario is that for anybody who's ever watched Tekken, this is for my special players out there. If you're already into fighting games and you already understand how Tekken works, Lucario might be the character that you want to play if you were playing Lars. Lars, obviously, if you knew about his character, he has certain like Lucario has certain stances. And ultimately, oh yeah, by the way, that's not Pokemon move. That's extreme speed. So, if you're looking into Lars, let's say, and you realize that you have something, like, other than that, you normally see that Lucario has his Pokemon strings, like as you would see in Smash. However, this is where the Tekken part comes in. I showed you this, correct? Now, if you know about it, you notice something. He has silent entry, where you can do silent entry into sweep, you can do silent entry into launcher, just to mess around with people. But my more common thing, however, is silent entry with jab silent entry into grab, because it throws off a lot of people. Don't expect it to always do so, because the first jab is actually really fast, and chances are they'll probably try to jab you back. So silent entry, jab silent entry into counter is also a very strong presence. Always make sure, like, throw them off a bit. Hit them with that, hit them with the jab string, with 5YY, go into silent entry, force yourself a way in. It also works if you see someone zoning you and they do a jump aura sphere, let's say. You can jab silent entry and it will go right under the aura sphere. I can't record certain things. I wish, you know, it had a record setting so I could show you that. But the jab, the forward jab string, the forward weak attack string is good enough that it gets under air projectiles. However, with a character like Mewtwo, like when you unlock him and after you beat the game and whatnot, not Shadow Mewtwo, actual Mewtwo, you can't do that to his, because the range is so large that you'll have a problem with getting in. So there are certain things. Now I can explain general things like Synergy Burst. I can set it really quickly, but it'll always be stuck there. So we're going to Duel Phase. I can show off, you know, Synergy Burst. It's set to auto recover. So there are many things that work with Synergy Burst. The combo changes. The combo string changes. So you have that as a combo string. That is a completely brand new combo string. The range moves always will remain the same. The Pokemon moves, however, they change. An Aura Sphere turns into a mini Aura Blast on full charge. Has 3 charges instead of 2. So if you like your Command Man, you just use this all you want. It doesn't even matter. It's pretty fun. You kind of get your little Hokuto no Ken flex, like your little Kenshiro flex by playing Lucario and Synergy Burst cards. Like, you have multi-hits. So it's actually pretty fun. So, a lot of things change with Lucario Synergy Burst. Your extreme speed changes, gets a follow-up. Your grabs change, actually, because even those now have a new way of doing things. So, let me show you the grab. The grab in Duel Phase is a bit different too. Like, you'd see it get a bit more, has a bit more of a cutscene, forces phase shift, nonetheless. It's obviously more damage. In Field Phase, it's more, it keeps the opponent closer than the original grab that you have. And I can show that off in a moment. Also, for those who think I'm messing around with this a bit, I'm not. I'm actually trying to figure out a way to get back into Field Phase right now. I don't play on the gamepad. I actually play on a GameCube controller. When I get my camera fixed, I will probably show you how to do that, and what you need, or what's possible. But I can explain to you at least, at the very least. Right now, I'm using a Wiimote to control the GameCube controller. You can't use the adapter, I'm sorry. I thought you could, but if you attach this to the gamepad, it specifically says on the back, Pocket Tournament can only be played with the Pro Controller, a Wiimote and the Pro Controller, or the gamepad. And in many cases, this is true. However, PlayAsia has a GameCube adapter that you can plug into your Wiimote, and it can control the GameCube controller just fine. There is literally no lag. And if there is, I would say it's like 1 ms at best. 1 microsecond. It's not that big, it's not too noticeable. Like, I can literally just like, yeah. I can like shimmy back and forth with this. And that's more or less it. But continuing on, Synergy Burst. I would probably want to keep this perma so you guys understand how this works. So let's go to perma Synergy Burst. Oh yeah, first I want to show you guys how it works. But yeah, no, let's keep it. But before this carries too long. You can see that your Aura Sphere changes. Your range attacks now look shinier. That's because you're in Mega Lucario form, but that's nothing too big. Your dash attack changes. Your dash attack becomes your homing attack now becomes more plus in that form. I forgot to mention. In comparison to its unsafe power on when you're in normal form. So I can show you a combo that's in the combo dojo, of course. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. But obviously I'll drop the combo because I can mess up sometimes. Don't worry about that. There's not too much to worry about. There was another... I have 2 guard break setups, but I can save that for another time. If you want to see those, it'll be on my Twitter. I will contemplate posting it online onto YouTube or something afterwards. Lucario in this form has 2 launchers instead of 1. I should have mentioned this. Instead of the casual 1 launcher you have when you're a regular Lucario, as Mega Lucario, you have 2. Your Aura Ball is still the same. your aura sphere is still the same in air. And your aura sphere in field phase is still homing like normal. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't get any better. It's always going to be the same. Your sweep doesn't have a linker. And your bone rush is always going to be the same, no matter what it is. So, all your normals are still the same, more or less, except for the auto combo that you saw earlier, where you don't exactly have to have it. In terms of support characters, when it comes down to supports, you're going to want ones that can apply pressure onto certain opponents. For me, you can notice I have Diglett. I can explain this. Diglett is a very fun support to have. Diglett, it's Diglett and Cubone. Cubone and Diglett are really fun to have. Cubone, I don't know its applicated use fully, unless you want to just blow up people. But Diglett, however, Diglett is a real pressure tool. I'll just throw Diglett out at max range. Diglett at max range won't go far, but once Diglett's there, Diglett does this. Diglett does a little dig, opens up about 5 spots. When it hits the opponent, you can force Duel Phase when it hits the opponent. But honestly, you can tell I suck at doing that. So before, you're gonna have to do it before Diglett finishes the final hit. So forcing phase shift is a good idea with Diglett. Now, since we're already here in Duel Phase, Diglett has a launcher that you can still combo with, mind you. So, by having that, you can literally still throw in a homing attack and you won't do anything. Like, it won't force you out of Duel Phase. Because of this, it makes it ample to be used in many other situations. Because since homing, I believe, doesn't actually count towards phase shifting in this, you can use it like as freely as you want. I can't really normally link it right now. We have to like that's a lot for that. But yeah. The Diglett support it's actually a lot easier to use. But you only would want this if you're applying pressure. Now I'll show you the pressure difference in guard. For this, you'd want Diglett to force guard on people, if anything. So let's say block with reaction setting being like a normal attack or something, let's say. So don't, you know already from now, you wouldn't want that. People can guess that setup if they're lucky, but if they're blocking, you force Diglett out before the hit, and it forces them to be stuck in block, like if you want them to have that happen. Now you throw Diglett out now, blocking one hit and trying to do a normal attack now. Forces them to actually deal with the fact that Diglett's out on the field. And because of this, you can literally go for a grab, you can go for a counter, but if they press a button, they will be hit by Diglett, because Diglett is still there. However, do not put yourself in the situation where you can be grabbed out, because grabbing will still work. So, if you know that they're gonna block because they can't do anything, open them up with a grab. If you know they're gonna throw out a normal attack, don't do it. If you know they're gonna grab, stay a close distance, stay a decent distance away so you won't be grabbed, but at the same time, you can get picked up by Diglett. There are other characters like Machamp who should be able to rush in with their counter against Diglett, but the multi-hitting counter for Diglett is so strong that it actually still pops them up for about 1 or 2 hits at best. So even trying to get him with a counter attack, you'll make a decent trade, but they'll still be stuck in the air. It forces neutral position, and they'll have to still think about what to do against you, because you're still stuck in that duel phase. They can't phase shift you, and you're still in duel phase wondering, oh, what am I going to do in this position? You can keep them in field phase by doing this, and because of this, you can literally just do what you want in field phase. A rushdown character like Lucario can't generally get back in. You see Lucario's throwing out normal attacks that would probably phase shift you back in reaction to this, but a weak attack can't do anything against a fully charged Forest around block after Diglett has been thrown. So it's more like, what am I gonna do? And that's what the fun part about this is. This is where the guessing game becomes. Like, what are you gonna do against me? And other supports that you want to use, examples like you see, you have the other Lucario has Jirachi slash, what was it, Cottonelle? Or no, not Cottonelle. I forgot. Let's just call it Cotton Candy. But I forget though. Sorry, Whimsicott. Thank you. Whimsicott is just the same. And Whimsicott, what Whimsicott does for Lucario, if you want, is that it will block against ranged attacks for a certain time. So because of this, you can't have people throwing ranged attacks at you. They can throw Pokemon moves, but ranged attacks will literally do nothing for a short time. What Cubone does, however, Cubone has Bone Murray. So Cubone's use is to blow up people who think that it's gonna, you know, go away. But the thing is, comes back. But if they throw a normal before then, if they throw, let's say, an Aura Blast or a range attack, you gotta get in knowing that they might press a button. These are all options. But if Cubone in Duel Phase is more like that character you want to just open up people with. I won't go into wall combos too extensively, but more or less, yeah, Cubone's that character that you want to force Duel Phase with, or that you want to just have, like Cubone is more Duel Phase pressure. So if you have someone in a guard string, 1, 2, 3, well, let's go back in here. Show what's going on. So Cubone, block, and then it keeps them in a position where they will be forced on pressure to either block back or continue. Now, say if you did 1, 2, 3, or you just toss it out, you can use a Pokemon move. Or 1, 2, 3, toss it out, force block, Bone Rush, right before it comes back. These are good ways of opening up people. However, say if it's a counterattack now, the counterattack, I'm pretty sure, beats Boomerang on that kind of approach. We can test it right now. But these are all good. These are all good things to just test. So now, let's say if I did 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you see? Now if I did 1, 2, forces counterattack, block, Pokemon. And these are all good options. So instead of doing the 1, 2, 3 string, if you did 1, 2, 3, counterattack comes out, you get knocked down, blah blah blah, etc. etc. Now, 1, 2. Toss out Boomerang, you probably will get hit. So make sure you time that with the utmost clarity. So Bone Rush probably won't be your best way of getting it. Let's say if you do Boomerang, but it all depends. It's all wonky timing. Like, I can't fully give you everything you need, but hopefully this is all helping you. There was another support in general. So aside from Whimsicott and Diglett being your better options, of course. Now, you can also, there are many supports for different occasions. Croagunk is a really good one in another sense, because the way Croagunk works is that anyone who comes near you is instantly stunned. They can't do much to this. So you also have to think about what support you'd want and who you're picking into. But if you're playing online, you don't exactly know who you're picking into. So you always take your best support and always make sure you can. I don't have a lot of supports unlocked. I haven't beaten the game, obviously, sadly. But you see I have Espeon and Umbreon here as well. These are all good things to have. So I will literally tell you your best supports are 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3, Rotom, and who is it? It was Rotom and somebody else. Those are your exceptions. You also have, like, because Rotom apparently does the exact same thing Croagunk does, except you can set up Rotom to whatever thing you want, and it blocks air attacks if it's held long enough, I believe, in Duel Phase. So it's really weird. I don't know exactly how Rotom works, but Rotom can give people the business if you're not lucky. And I can go into one of the other, like some of the other ones. Frogadier and Eevee is more of a neutral based support to have. Like, it's one of the first 3 you get, obviously. And Eevee helps if you want a large boost to your HP. Frogadier also works for many a reason. Frogadier blows up people because it legitimately pops them into the air. You can't combo up, well, you can, but it's not really a big combo, but it does allow you to pop them up into the air. It's a free launcher. So if you want to do Bone Rush times 2 in Duel Phase, go ahead, do it. It doesn't change, it doesn't make anything different. It's still the same regardless if it's in Duel Phase or Field Phase. Eevee is the exact same way. But yeah, when it comes down to characters now, your better matchups, if you want to talk about Lucario, I would have to say, fight-wise, you'd be doing well. You should be neutral with Blaziken. You should be able to win a lot of matches with characters who tend to go in a lot. Blaziken is a neutral matchup. Pikachu, I will say, it's more so in Pikachu's favor. More ranged attacks put you in a disadvantage. Pikachu has an airborne thunder, which automatically stuns you. I've fought a lot of Pikachus who do it, and it's a bit more of a, let's say, damaging situation, because they can still come in and follow up. Machamp is one of your more neutral matchups. Machamp can still give people work if you're not careful. If you don't know the matchup, it's really hard. Chandelure is a tricky fighter to get against. Chandelure can mess with people quite a bit. You have Suicune. I will definitely say this is a losing matchup in your favor. Any ranged fighter, so whatever, be it Chandelure or be Gardevoir, Braixen, these are all losing matchups in your favor because these are all zoning characters. They can generally do what you do, but better. Suicune is the worst one for you in your case. Garchomp is a losing matchup in your favor. Despite anything else, Garchomp is a power type. even though you're standard, you're pretty neutral, Garchomp's attacks just do too much damage to you. So, and Garchomp has quite a bit of safe strings. Why I say Blaziken is a more neutral matchup in your favor is because your strings are basically the same, but it can generally tend to lean into Blaziken's favor, mainly because Blaziken has frame traps. And for those who don't know what a frame trap is, it's basically if you're stuck in block, you're going to be blocking for a bit until Blaziken does something unsafe. And Pikachu Libre. Pikachu Libre I can say is a more neutral matchup. And because what she can do, stuns hurt. She can charge herself with electricity, allow herself to do Electro Web, which is a grab. She has a command grab, which means this cannot be blocked. Sadly, you can't block this or anything. You can't open it up with anything too special. I believe her 2A, which is the flip, which triggers into the Stone Cold Stunner. By God as my witness, by Arceus as my witness, Kingler, you will be broken in half. Goes through counter. You cannot counter it. That is all that I can tell you on that counter. I haven't gone too in depth with the characters. Gengar is a definite losing matchup. Gengar is a tricky fighter to go against. When it comes down to Gengar, Gengar has certain homing techniques that will literally knock you out from the air while Gengar is on the ground. Gengar doesn't exactly have to leave the ground to do damage to you, which makes Gengar all the more a tricky character to fight against. If you know what you're doing in the matchup, you should not have a hard time, but I guarantee you, it's not a type you'll have to walk out of. Sceptile is more so in your favor. You can rush down Sceptile pretty easily. Sceptile does have a bit of things that give you the work input. Sceptile definitely makes you work hard, but it's more of a winning favor in your sense. For the other characters, I don't normally know too much about these characters. I can't go in depth about them. There are other people who may on their experience. I can't fully give you the whole rundown on it. With this being it, I will conclude my guide on how to properly do this. So, this, at this point, concludes my guide on Lucario. I thank you guys for tuning in and listening. You can follow me on Twitter. Links will be down in the description. I hope this helps. It's not too in-depth of a guide, but it should be able to give you a lot more work as to how to do certain things with the character. So this is more of a basic kind of way of doing things. If you want to know certain combos, a lot of them are in the combo dojo. Those ones will work. The combo dojo is very, very, very good. So please, if you have the time, take the time, do tutorial, do the combo dojo. I plead for you to do this because I guarantee you'll learn a lot more than you think. So like I said, links down in the description. Subscribe if you want to see any more videos that are based on anything. I will stream ranked via YouTube Gaming once in a while. My Twitch will be there. I will let you guys know when I'm streaming, of course, because that helps out. If you subscribe, you'll know when I'm streaming, you'll know when I'm doing certain things. You'll know when I'm live, obviously, because YouTube Gaming will let you know when I'm live.